Yeah, it was good. It was fun.
Yeah, good times. Good times.
Yeah,
we had like
yeah.
3 of them. Lots of things going on.
I know you missed us last Thursday, but we're back.
We are. Yeah. Yeah. I'm back. I'm not sure if you are. You're still kind of out there a little bit, hanging out.
I'm always out there. Hey, so there's a new short.
Yes, we have a new short out there. If you get an opportunity, please go on and take a look and watch. Basically, what we did is we set up an office prank for our coworker, Bob. So we did the whole short on this and filmed it, just released it about, 20 minutes ago, give or take.
Right.
And so anyway, Bob was on vacation, and so we kind of went in and decided to throw him a surprise retirement party.
There you go.
So Bob comes strolling back into work on Monday, and you know him, he's kind of that sluggish walk down there, and he starts looking around and seeing that stuff, but he had the most humble look on his face,
Let me translate that for you. He crumpled it all up and threw it in the corner.
Yeah, he did. He immediately started taking everything down. I'm not retiring. that old scene, get off my grass.
Right, right. Yeah, kind of like the Clint Eastwood character in what was that movie?
Gran Torino?
Yes,
yeah. Sitting up there on his patio. Stay off my lawn.
Yep. Yep.
So we had a lot of fun with that. So we thought we'd share that with you today. If you check out the video, please do. And you'll enjoy it, I think. It was a lot of fun.
Check out the video, please do.
Yeah, please do. Either way. Hey,
Just
Highlander says, hi, gang. Hi, Highlander.
Hey, Highlander.
Hope you had a great Thanksgiving there, pal.
He doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving.
No?
He's in another country.
Okay. This guy.
What? He is, isn't he? He's like in isn't he in Europe somewhere?
I think he lives in Michigan.
I think it's I'm gonna say it's here. Yeah.
I thought he was like in another country.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. What's wrong with you?
I don't know. What is wrong with you?
Your favorite saying.
Well, then, if you are here, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
If not, forget about it.
So, things are going well. I got to tell you guys, I'm very, I guess you can say humbled. We just had the best November that we have had in 24 years.
24,
right?
Wow. New York City.
Yeah, it's crazy, but business has been good. Things are going well. We've got a lot of new staff that's come in to help us out, and that's been a blessing. And they're working really hard, getting on the phones, talking to people, and educating people on who we are and what we can do for them.
Yeah,
But thanks, and congrats to all of our Gruber staff here for a great November. And it looks like December's climbing up there as well.
Yeah, so
already
far, so
we just
good.
Started, and it looks like we're going to finish out the year very strong. So
there we go.
Yeah, nice little shout out and thank you to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, with the pending tariffs and with usually supplier price increases and things like that, now is the time to get your stuff, people.
Yeah, because we know what's coming.
Yeah. We don't know.
We know what's coming. It's just going to be, let's wait and see what happens. So hopefully everything will smooth out just fine. But we want to make sure that we're here for all of your needs, and being able to help you take care of business out there when you're doing your installations.
100%.
So Mark here has been working on some new cable assemblies that we finally were able to bring to market, right?
Yes.
And what you see here in the background is the Neutric, right?
Neutric. Like Sweetenly. Yeah, Neutric. Yeah, it's so it's a cable carrier. And basically, so if any of you have seen, the XLR cables and all that, it was kind of patterned after that. This came a long time ago because, to connect audio cables, these were, a nice locking mechanism.
Correct.
That worked well for, keeping things from, getting yanked out or whatever. Somebody came up with the bright idea of doing this with copper and with fiber, actually. And so it's just a regular RJ45 inside there, but this metallic cable carrier has a notch right on the front, and when it snaps into place, doesn't come out.
So it locks into place.
Right. It locks into place. So there's a nice tension, resistors there, right? And then it just doesn't get yanked out. And these are used for, a bunch of different purposes, but one is for like concerts and things like that, where they would, use these for digital lighting. They use them for walls, for video walls, right?
Okay.
And then for regular data as well. But this is the standard in the industry are these Neutrik.
Yeah, and
connectors.
A lot of it has to do because of the durability of these. I mean, I'm filling them here, and as you can probably see there, it's a very durable connector. I mean, you're not going to break this thing.
Right.
I mean, you'd have to put a lot of pressure on it to do so. And I mean, it's not plastic.
Right.
It's a composite.
Right. You don't want to be watching your favorite band live in concert and have stuff just go wrong. You know, this is, and the cabling that we put together on this is a harsh environment cable, but it's very flexible. It's high flex cable.
Yeah,
so it just feels great. It's easy to coil. So for roadies, pack it back up, you know, pull it out. It's things aren't going to get tangled. They're not going to get all gnarled.
Yeah, you pointed out something that I want to talk about really quick, and that is you said it fills. You should fill this like satin fill on this cable.
Right.
Something we don't talk about enough is the fact that these people are out there, like you said, the roadies and people installing this stuff, they're working with their hands with this, right?
Right.
And it's every day it's being handled.
Right.
Our materials here, when we make these cables, they're all made by hand. And the reason I bring that up is because one thing that we do as humans is we can relate quality to touch. We get a lot of sensory, you know, through our use of our hands and touching products.
Right.
And when you touch this, you can feel the quality that's in there.
Right.
And so by hand making it and going through those processes, you're going to see and feel a different type of quality than per se you would see coming out of a machine that's being run an automation process.
100%. Yeah.
You know, so handmade, the quality is just amazing on these. And like you said, they're very durable and high flex.
Right. So they're a shielded Cat 6A.
Okay.
And you know, it's a premium product. Okay. This is not something that everybody makes. This is going to be something that for Gruber, it's right in our wheelhouse. I mean, right down the center lane. But there aren't a lot of places out this way that make these.
Yeah.
And so our lead times are great. Everything can be done to order, custom lengths. It's again just a nice segue into another business, another business product that is center lane for Gruber.
Yeah, and one thing you hit on is the fact of this is not a readily available cable in our region.
Right.
You know, so for us bringing this to market opens up a regional access point for, say, places like Las Vegas, California,
right?
You know, heading back into Texas and so forth,
right?
That we can help supply for those who are, you know, have a need for these,
right?
So they come in, you know, it's just great that we have this ability to do this right here and cover this regional path where they're not readily available.
Yeah, and so for those of you in the business, you know that there are some applications where you're going to have a double cable carrier construction like these are made, but then some are made with just an RJ45 on one end and then the cable carrier on the other.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, you know, those would be kind of like for outside of rack to inside of rack where no one can just yank it out, right? But on the outside, it might get knocked around, right?
Yeah.
So
you're going to have some of that for sure.
Exactly.
And we got a few comments there. Yeah, that's cable flyer number 1. Yeah, we can throw that up there. Killjoy says, "Hi, I'm a fresh grad and I want to be a network engineer. What path should I start?" Oh, that's a tough one for me. I would say get involved to begin with. I mean, you're getting the education if you're, you know, going to school already. Get some experience in the field, right? Get some hands-on,
right?
And start to learning there, because you're going to get book smart, you know, going to school, and there'll be some hands-on, but get with the local people in your area. They're already working in this industry. They're going to give you some, you know, some ideas, give you some groundwork.
I mean, if it were, you know, a friend of mine that was asking that, I'd probably tell him, you know, look up all the data centers here in town and try and, you know, get in involved with that, because basically, you know, it's all theory in school until you get into what the real world's doing.
Yeah, application will be a little bit different.
Right, and seeing how things are put together and how different deployments are, whether it's an IT support company, because there are a lot of those out there who do network support that would expose you to a lot of different architectures, or finding one place to kind of land and learn, and then figure it out from there.
Yeah, ask the questions. Start by asking those questions, just as you asked us. Yeah, awesome. Wow, congratulations. Appreciate that.
And Gruber Motor says, we make the coolest cables. Yes, we do.
We do. It's a lot of fun, though. I mean, you talk about, like Killjoy's talking about engineering, and when we get into this aspect, it might be a little different from the engineering he's studying right now, or she, but you took the time to do the R&D, research and development, and then do the engineering to come up with this particular cable.
Right.
The pieces of the puzzle are out there. A lot of times what we have to realize is, how do the pieces work? How do they come together? And so, like I said, this information is all out there.
Right.
But then what you're able to do is engineer it, bring it to the table, and get it in place for our customers.
Sure, and I can tell you the sales team is pretty excited about it.
Yeah,
because
this is good.
We have customers in this space. We really do, and we just haven't tapped it until now. And now we're going after it, which is a great idea.
Yeah. Hey, Killjoy from Gruber Motor Company. My suggestion is to get on the ground floor of a data center, bring a solid work ethic, and show a desire to learn.
There you go.
Hey, perfect key points right there. And I'll say that goes beyond just about anything. If you're going to get out there and you want to educate yourself, bring a solid work ethic. That is a very strong point, no matter what you do.
Right.
And then that desire to learn and continue learning. Hey, you know what? You have to be hungry. You have to stay hungry.
Well, this is an industry where the learning never stops. It doesn't matter how long you've been in it, because technology changes constantly.
Yeah.
So there's always the new, latest and greatest. There's always, forward-looking, leading edge tech. And at one point, once upon a time, it was Cat 3, right?
Yeah.
So aside from the FAA and some hospitals, I don't know who's using it, but that was a joke. But the idea though is, look, at the end of the day, being well-read in what you're doing in the industry, and that's what we try and do with the show here, is kind of stay on the edge of things and read through material that we find interesting, that may be out there. We talked about quantum computing and all that kind of stuff, and what that is. That's because we want to prompt you to understand that the computing world is just huge, and there's a lot coming down the road. So important to stay up on that and stay well read and stay in the loop of what's coming down the pike.
Yeah, continuous education is really a key term there.
Yep.
Like you're saying, and that's just not only to stay up to date, stay fresh, but keep yourself educated.
Right.
Because it's an ever-changing world. I mean, our industry changes almost daily.
Right.
And it's amazing what's taking place out there. For instance, just yesterday, it's a little bit off, but now they're able to use and create a battery using diamonds. I mean, they're finding out that the isotopes in the diamonds, they're saying they can get almost a 5,000-year battery life out of using the radiation from a diamond.
Only costs like $10 million, but yeah.
Well, yeah, at this point in time. But, these are the breakthroughs that are coming.
Right.
And as we change and as we see things change, especially in fiber optic cabling, and we're seeing that the amount of data transfer that can pass through is just increasing at an exponential rate.
Right.
I mean, it's wild where this is going.
And what's interesting too, to me at least, is that, we talked about quantum computing, we talked about qubits and things like that. More stuff keeps coming up on my phone, in my feed, on quantum computing and quantum entanglement, and them talking about. I saw an article yesterday about quantum entanglement with sound waves.
Yeah, I've read that one too.
Yeah,
I saw that.
It was like, okay, this is out there, and it's tough to wrap your brain around it a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's where things are headed.
Yeah.
Right. So it's great to not feel like you're left behind,
But gosh,
we don't have flip phones. I know some people do, but we don't have flip phones. We're, not afraid of tech at all. And between the AI tools and, quantum computing and all of the information that is out there to be had.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is an exciting time for the younger generations coming up now, getting into these fields and seeing the growth potential and what is coming and being able to expand their minds. Now is a great time.
Right.
I mean, there's no better place to be with AI. And I think Jesse has stated this before. AI is going to be the next largest, biggest, best thing next to probably the invention of the wheel.
Well, I'll tell you, whether this is a popular view or not, it's probably a reality. A lot of people probably do it, but I have to force myself to think when I'm looking for something, go to AI, don't go to Google. Right?
Yeah.
Because AI will just spit out the answer. Google, I got to look through like 100 posts or 100, things and refine my terms.
Yeah.
AI just hits it.
Yeah. It just boing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
And it is just exponentially growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Back to these cables, though. These things are pretty crazy. Can you bring that flyer back up really quick? This is the latest flyer we've been sending out to people to help promote this. So you kind of get an idea of what's taking place with these cables. We do call them an extreme Ethernet Cat 6A.
Right.
And really they are because of the high flexibility.
Well, it's a harsh environment cable, number one. And then it's shielded, like you said, flexibility. It's got a polyurethane. It's not a polyurethane, TPE jacket. It's USA manufactured wire. This is as made in the USA as almost you can get. And then PoE and Cat 6A compliant to 280 feet. I think it's really probably a little farther than that.
Yeah,
that's just where it was tested to, but I think it's more like 100 meters.
Okay. But for the applications we're talking about, that's a pretty good length. We're not talking that we're going to do extreme runs with these.
Well, no, you don't want to be doing that. You want to be doing runs with fiber if you're going to be doing long runs, right? Yeah. For shows and stuff like that. And companies that use this do use fiber snakes for front of the house, back of the house, 500 feet, 1,000 foot, longer applications, right?
I want to pull up picture number 2. This is just a backstage picture, and what you can see here is this is lighting scenario and sound scenario they're putting up for a concert. But you can see here physically, look how many people are there working on these things. This cabling goes through a rough process.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's got to fit in, right?
Yeah.
And it's got to, match the environment. And you look at all the, there's a lot of power cables there. These are shielded. And then you're talking about, connecting to lighting equipment and video boards. You don't want any interference.
Yeah,
right?
Not considering that people will be walking around stepping on these as well in some of these scenarios.
Right.
So you need to have something that's going to hold up to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That rugged use.
Yep.
Other places these are used. Number 3 here in our own Cardinals Stadium for lighting and such. Go Cards, right?
I don't want to talk about that right now.
Hey, you still have to be a Cards fan, right?
I am a look. I got the got the hat on, but whatever.
But people need to understand that even in whether it's football, tennis, golf, all these scenarios and sporting events that are out there use cabling such as this,
right?
And so it's very needed out there in the industry. We're using this stuff everywhere.
Yep.
So you can imagine if you're on the road and you're, say, a roadie or whatever you want to call them, installer on these projects, and you're going through multiple cities, packing this up, taking it out, installing it, taking it out. You need something that's sturdy and durable.
Right. Yep.
So,
and that just can't be yanked out.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want someone to walk by and maybe trip over a cable, yank it out, and then the audio disappears from the stadium and you have issues.
Video, yeah.
So there's a lot of different scenarios where that could be, and it's why that locking net mechanism is very nice to have on that.
100%.
Okay, let's see. Picture number 4. You spoke of these video walls.
Yes. So digital video, again, the connectivity to these is Cat 6, 6A. And so they use a lot of this for connecting, especially in like concert type environments, because they're there.
Yeah.
For their temporary setups. Makes sense, right? Because they, again, can't get yanked out.
Sure.
More permanent setups like this, not necessarily as needed to be the smooth pull push connection, or even the thicker cables, harsh environment, because if stays in place like that, then it's probably going to be fine. But especially just think of events and those types of things.
But even this scenario, I gotta say, this is a scenario where this could possibly, and more than likely, would be a lifetime installation. One time we get this in there, and it's the lifetime of the entire facility for that particular video wall. So you might want to go for quality. In that scenario.
I'm not saying don't get it. I'm saying because
it's just a different application purpose.
On the if you go to the slide number 6, threw you for a loop there, sorry. Yeah,
there we go.
So if the device or unit has one of these in the back of it, any of these carriers, modules, then you absolutely have to have the Neutrik cable carrier.
Sure.
Because you'll see that there's that circular slot around the edge of where the RJ45 goes in, and then you see that push connector, or the push release at the top, so it snaps into place, and then it's locked in there, and then when you're ready to pull it out, you just clip it or push it, and then you've released your cable, right?
Sure. And I can see where this is necessary in a lot of different application purposes. Honestly, I'm looking at this, and first thing to me comes to mind is maritime. Any sort of marine activity in vessels, cargo ships, to even fishing vessels. I mean, all the way across the board. You got, where you got constant movement,
right?
And you don't want them to pull out. That would be a good area for something like that.
Well, and so these are IP65 rated. And essentially what that means is, I think the 6 is like a dust rating. So it's like the highest dust rating to prevent dust from getting inside the carrier. And then the 5 simply it means that it can withstand water jets being sprayed at the connection here, at where the seam is,
at the actual connection
on the cable point. And water won't get in.
Nice.
Now the IP67 is where you can actually submerge them, and that's not this. But no one's looking for submersion, But if it's raining, again, outdoor venue or whatever, it's IP65 rated, so it's able to withstand that. Yeah. Look, when we first started playing around with these, I mean, this little rubber end that protrudes out here forms really nicely because it's recessed when you're building the cable, and then when you pull it to screw it all in, it pops and it forms the grip on the outside of this, so that's what seals it.
Oh, very cool.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yep. They really went all out.
And I can also see, mil spec applications with this.
Yes.
So any sort of military application that you need to put this in.
Yeah, they got, I mean, the types of connectors that go into military applications are nuts. So, when you're talking about this, I mean, very important. You see a lot of the power, what am I thinking, like Soriao connectors or Molex connectors that are rounded and have all the pins, and, they twist lock in, very much in the same type of family, right?
Yeah.
They go in, they stay in until you want them out.
Yeah. Then you got to go take them out.
Right.
And then you have the airline industry. I mean, we talk about the, application for digital lighting and video walls and stuff, but I see much more in this cable. I really do, for the applications out there. Even heavy machinery, the construction workers are, say, using outside as well. Yeah. These types of applications.
Anywhere that there's an RJ45, right? But again, you got to have these all these little,
those receptacles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Modules built into whatever you're connecting it to. And if you're designing something, you can design them with it in it, right?
Sure.
Or build panels. Like I'm sure we could build, we already do build patch panels. We could build patch bays that have those
particular receptacles in them.
Exactly, going across, and then they come out back into regular RJ45s for whatever. I mean, it's that would make a lot of sense, to have stuff like that as part of professional lighting setups and video setups.
Wow, this is fun stuff.
It can go a lot of different directions. As a matter of fact, they make snakes out of this stuff. So
do they?
Take, they'll take 4 of them at a time, and then they'll shrink tube. That's all. It's the only difference, right? They shrink tube 4 of them together and then build them out.
Gotcha.
And each one has a different color, right?
Color coded, so no mistakes. And when you're plugging them in, make it simple, make it easy.
Right. So we can build those. Anything with these that's out there in the market right now. Say, okay, we've got the nice one cable, but this means we have everything. When you have this, you have everything.
Now, question for you: these are RJ45s. Could you use an RJ12? Is there room or area for that in these particular connectors?
So there is a metal backplane on here that is slotted, okay, and it's slotted for the size of an RJ45. Okay. And there's specific RJ45s that are spec'd in. So in this particular case, there's a Sentinel RJ45 shielded connector. So if it fits, fine, but if it doesn't, because it has to snap into place.
Yeah.
Right. And it's basically a cutout of the RJ45, because what this does is when you're building it, this then slides on top of it and snaps into place. So the cable starts out here, and then when you pull it into place, it snaps in, right? So it has to fit that the back end, the piece of metal in the back that's already it's cut out.
What about the cable itself? Can you use various types of cabling on this? Let's say I didn't need a shielded cable, or I didn't need a rugged jacket,
Right. Well,
could I use a different cable with this particular system?
Well, I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
Right. You could use any cat cabling with it that uses an RJ45. The idea though is that these are really for the uses that we've described. If you're going to just have something that's hardwired in place, sure, you can do that. And probably use a less expensive cable, right?
Sure.
Because all you're doing is connecting it and it's sitting, right? But if you're doing what we're talking about, which is production type of work, whether it's a TV studio or
sporting event
or any kind of
event,
then you're going to want to not spare the expense on the cabling, because this is that's the super important thing there.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's actually, that makes it what it is.
And the quality is what we're after in this, right?
Yep.
At the end of the day, because you want to be able to reuse this for several concerts. It's not 2 or 3.
Right.
You can buy some cabling out there that will suit you for 1 or 2 events maybe, but the longevity of these particular cables, we're talking just well worth in savings.
Right.
You're going to understand the savings in the cost and the quality of what you're purchasing with these cables.
There's a reason why competitors have 6, 8, 10-week lead times for these.
Yeah.
They are a critical component. And, I'm sure they view them as a consumable, because ultimately they wear out, but they're not Gruber ones. But, I don't know how they put them together, but I know this is a premium product right here. So looking for quality is where we're at with this.
Yeah, and also don't forget, we can do labeling as well. So you can get the quality of the cable you want. We can get this labeled for you. So if we're using this in those applications, and it goes to a specific type of, say, lighting, we can put that on there for you.
We can put color-coded shrink tubing on it, too.
Yeah. I mean, there's a number of different things we can do to help you out. But in those situations, especially when you're saying going to, for a concert venue, right?
Yep.
It's a lot easier to pull out and know this cable right here goes to this light right there.
Right.
Just by looking at the label or the color code.
Right.
Without having to think about it.
Once you run like a 200-foot cord, you're going to be going back to try and figure out.
You're going to start seeing cords everywhere in front of you, and I guarantee it's going to look like one of those octopus messes.
Which is why they do the snakes in in fours on these, because it makes sense not to have to keep revisiting it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it goes fast.
That was really fast.
A Highlander there says, I was thinking about the applications in factory or manufacturing environments. Yeah, very true.
Right.
You know, especially if you get into, say, more robotics type situations too.
Right.
Any
high
of those
flex cable. It's great for robotics, great for a lot of other things.
Yeah.
That are harsh environment type of setups.
Well,
so I guess we're
out of time once again.
Yeah.
This goes by so fast.
That went really fast today.
Oh boy.
All right. Well, we want to thank you for being here. Like, subscribe, and share this podcast.
That's correct.
We're happy to have you, and we'll be back next Thursday. For now, I'm Mark Beach.
I'm John Dotson, and thank you once again.